um, when a student completes his CPL, whether it is from India or from abroad, then students have this question before going for flying, that whether the airlines, will they be able to hire us if we complete flight training in India, or will they give preference to students who would do their flight training from abroad? So what is your say on that?
So, according to me, hello everyone, welcome back to India's number one pilot podcast. It's been a while as we are busy flying, and Capt.Neha is working with CNTAA students as the
Yes.
exams have passed last month.
Yes.
And good to see you back here. And most of you might have already completed your 12th standard and you are eager to join pilot training. And that's why you are watching this podcast, to get guidance from us.
Yes, absolutely. Welcome to India's number one pilot podcast. And we are yet here again on episode number 62. And we hope that you are, trying to gather as much knowledge as you can. And we are also quite excited to deliver as much information as you can before you make the final decision and step into this career of pilot training. So here, I'm here again. We are meeting after some time, and I completed my medicals recently for my post-maternity, and I'm pretty excited to get back to skies again. And that is going to start pretty soon, in next few weeks. Yes.
Nice. Regarding the medicals, there's one question which aspiring pilots always face. They are like, if I have specs or if I have eye power, can I become a pilot?
Yes, absolutely. Like even I have specs, but I do wear lenses. So as long as that pilot has 6x6 vision with corrected glasses or lenses, and there is no problem with the night vision as well as the color identification, then that pilot can become, then that person can become a pilot. So there is no problem if there are specs, but the rest of the things, like there should not be any color blindness or night vision issues, etc.
Yes, definitely. I myself wear glasses, so
Yes,
until and unless you have a 6x6 vision,
correct.
there should not be any issue in pursuing pilot as a career. And many students also ask, should I get LASIK done or something? So that's a personal decision which they can make depending upon the reports which they get from the doctor. But do consult a doctor before you are planning to get any surgery done with your eye.
Yes, absolutely. If someone wants to get rid of their number, and they don't want to wear spectacles or whatever. So when you are deciding to undergo any surgery like LASIK surgery, so for layman, there are not many rules as such. You can just get your surgery done, and after few days after doctor's consultation, you're good to do your regular duties. But in case of pilot profession, there is 6 months of downtime. That means after undergoing that LASIK surgery, a pilot has to wait for 6 months before undergoing class 2 or class 1 medical. Or if that person has already undergone any medical, then he has to redo the medical and fresh medical at Air Force Medical Station. And then after taking the clearance from them, which is after 6 months after taking the clearance from them, that pilot can start flying. So it is not like a pilot cannot do it. But if there is a flying pilot and if he decides, then obviously airline will not would not want that pilot to just go on leave
For
just
6
because
months,
of the surgery, So that LASIK surgery, which is an elective surgery, it is not a mandatory surgery. You can continue to do your chores and day-to-day duties with spectacles, without doing any surgery. Yeah.
Yes, that sums it up.
Yeah.
And yes, excited to get back to skies.
Yes, absolutely. And so my training would start soon. and thereafter completion of the gap in flying training, would be resuming flying. So that gap in flying training would include the ground training or ground refresher. Followed by that, there will be simulator training and checks. Followed by that, there will be some supervised line flying of just 6 sectors, and followed by that, check. And thereafter would be released to fly as a captain again. How is flying for you in these days? It's been a few days that we have not been able to see you.
Yes, has been flying has kept me pretty busy. I mean, there are offs, but in that I have things to do, like going to gym, catching up with my diet, and all of those things.
Absolutely.
Because I've been to a couple of new destinations, both international and domestic. For international, I flew to Langkawi Island, which
Oh,
is in
nice.
Malaysia.
Beautiful.
So the approach there, it's a runway surrounded by mountains, and just at the edge of the runway, the ocean starts.
Okay.
So while doing the approach, you are over the ocean,
Ocean.
and as soon as you are landing, you are over the land. So you can imagine how the view will be.
Correct.
And
Absolutely.
plus surrounded by mountains, and you see boats, harbors, and I mean lush green mountains, because
Right.
it's Southeast Asia, right?
Correct.
And once you land, you enjoy the nature. The hotel is pretty good, and
absolutely.
you go to the beach, soak up in that salty water under the sun, and it's a pretty good, I would say, layover.
Right.
And then you explore the island as well,
Correct.
food, and then you come back to the hotel, rest, and next day again you go back to your base. So that is a pretty good layover. And then similar this thing, I've been to Maldives couple of times,
Right.
but every time we go, like, you see clear skies,
Absolutely.
that turquoise blue water, and you
Correct.
see different islands, resorts from the top.
Correct.
So that is also a good sight, and the view is insane.
I heard there are beautiful, amazing layovers from Bangalore. Yes.
Layovers are amazing.
Bali,
until you get it.
Langkawi.
Yeah, Bali.
Yes.
I've been to Langkawi, Maldives. So layovers are there like but now as the summer season is approaching, the turbulence is a factor as well.
Correct.
Plus, when you come into land during the afternoon, thermals,
Absolutely.
lot of thermals. Okay,
Yes.
so have
So
to
what are
keep.
thermals?
Thermals is like updraft and downdraft of uneven heating of air. So when you are doing an approach, suddenly the aircraft might climb 100 feet up or drop to 100 feet down. So there'll be a fluctuation in the vertical speed as well.
Correct. Because of a
So
lot of heating,
yeah.
the air currents get up, and that push the aircraft up, and that's
Yes.
very, very challenging at times to handle the aircraft in
Yes.
the final stages of approach to land, because of the so much below 10,000 feet you can start getting
Yes,
these thermals,
definitely.
especially in Nagpur, Hyderabad,
Okay.
sometimes in Bangalore, Jaipur.
Bangalore is not as cold as it used to be. So we can experience thermal similar to Nagpur and Bangalore during the
Yeah,
afternoon.
that's because as you're approaching in April, April and March, I would say, are the these 2 months are hottest in Bangalore, because in May it starts to rain in Bangalore.
Okay.
So yeah, in pre-monsoon season itself, it starts to rain in south. in
Because
Bangalore.
last week there was a hailstorm in Bangalore, and a lot of go-rounds happened,
Correct.
and it poured down.
Right.
So yeah, it's about to start, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. And pre-monsoon season is most challenging to handle in Bangalore, as well as post-monsoon. Monsoon, it is not as challenging because it is rain, whereas thunderstorm and stormy conditions and wind shear conditions are there in pre and post-monsoon seasons.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So, how did you find your flying in international sectors versus in domestic sectors?
So mostly international sectors, they are long sectors compared to domestic. Domestic can be long, can be short, depending upon the destination. If you go to Chennai, it's barely like 30 to 45 minutes flight. If you go to, let's say, Chandigarh, it's around 2 hours 30, 2 hours 45 minutes flight. So domestic flight can be long or short depending upon the destination, but international flights are mostly longer duration.
Correct.
So if you go to Langkawi, it's around 3.5 to 4 hours of
Correct.
flight. And the planning is a bit different depending upon the routing which the dispatch gives us. So sometime it's an EDTO route, sometime it's a non-EDTO route. So yeah, depending on that, you see how much fuel is available, what will be your alternates at the ETP and stuff.
En route alternates, yes. So for EDTO is a very detailed topic, which
Yes,
I think
you can just explain in like basic thing. What is an EDTO?
Yes. So it was explained earlier in
Okay.
few podcast, one of the
Yes.
podcasts, but
I think
we
the
can-
students who heard that explanation are already into pilot training. So this guys
yes,
are.
absolutely. So,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. So, first of all, whenever an aircraft flight is planned, or that time, there is a place of departure, there is place of destination. In the entire course of journey, the route is filed, and that route has to be within 60 minutes of flight time with one engine in operative cruise speed. So this is applicable to 2-engine airplanes, okay? And for 3 and 4-engine airplane, this time duration is 2 hours. And right now we will just stick to this part because majority of the airplane are twin-engine airplanes, okay? So the airplane has to be within 60 minutes of flight time from any suitable airport where a safe landing can be made. So if you have a flight from departure to destination, then draw a circle having a radius of that much distance, which is equivalent to 60 minutes into speed of airplane with one engine in operative. Let's say this distance is 450 nautical miles. Let's take a ballpark figure. So draw the circles of radius of 450 nautical miles around those airports which are suitable for landing that particular type of airplane. That includes the runway length, that includes all the navairs required for landing and approach, and runway lights and firefighting system, etc. So when you draw the circles, the flight has to pass through those circles. Okay. Now, while doing that, when you plan a longer flight, then to fly through those circles, especially when you are planning the flight over sea or over ocean, then you have to fly very close to land areas because there are no airports, majority of them are over land areas, and there are very few or very remote airports over ocean. So because of that, the flight has to take a longer path. Over a period of time, when it is found that this particular engine is very reliable, it doesn't have much of shutdown rate or in-flight shutdown rate, or so many systems which are there in the airplane are quite reliable. With the advancements of this system, this 60 minutes time can be extended to 90 minutes, 120 minutes, or 180 minutes, depending on the approval which is given by the manufacturer, followed by the that particular country's regulator or the airline. So depending on the approvals of all of these authorities, this 60 minutes is basic threshold time, it is called as. Beyond that, when you want to go, after thorough inspection and after thorough check and clearances, when you want this extended diversion time, then there is an application need to be made for EDTO, extended diversion time operations. Let's say that time is now 150 minutes. So a flight can be planned in such a way that the route is within 150 minutes from the suitable en route alternate. So in that case, you have requirement of less number of suitable en route alternates, and your route becomes shorter, especially over ocean. So the flight can be planned in such a way that the route becomes shorter, the route length is shorter, fuel consumption is lesser, and definitely that leads to cheaper tickets. So that is the EDTO in short.
And generally, whenever we fly over the ocean, the communication is done via the HF, because VHF, the range is limited. So that's why we switch on to the HF communication, and in that we have selective calling as well.
Correct.
We give our Celcal ID, and then we check the Celcal code. So you get a buzz on the aircraft, and then we just turn off the radios, and if there is anything, they'll just give you a call, and there'll be a buzzer which will buzz inside the cockpit.
Correct, absolutely. Yes, so that we do it when we exercise that HF communication when over ocean. So because of the island, like Port Blair in Bay of Bengal, there is VHF station.
Yes, so the radio calls are receivable via VHF. They do have HF as well, but we generally go via VHF.
Correct.
And generally, mostly flying over the ocean towards, let's say, the Gulf countries, we switch over to HF. So there is one more difference which I think in the international flying. Initially, for the first flight when we are doing international, it will be difficult to hear that HF because there's a lot of noise in that.
Correct.
And eventually you get used to it. And apart from that, generally students ask, okay, is your passport always full? Do you get stamp on every international layover or stuff? So we don't get stamped on every international layover, and we don't have visas for all country. We get a sheet of paper which says that, okay, we are operating.
General declaration.
Yes. So that sheet of paper mentions that we are operating so-and-so flight, and these are our crew members, and this is the date on which we are doing the flight. So that sheet of paper is what we use it as, you can say, visa, and we can enter and exit the country using that piece of paper.
Yes, that is something which an airline says that, yes, this particular flight is operated by these crew members. And the immigration authorities will cross-check that, yes, the identity of these crew members is verified with the respective crew member. And then that acts as a proof that, yes, we are operating this flight and the visa is not required. So even though we do operate that flight and we do fly to that country, there is no stamp, as you said.
Yes.
As well as the international flights are generally, their timing is in the late evening or night. I mean, not all the time, always, but in most cases, it does encompass the WSCL period. And apart from that, domestic flying is, most of the flights are during the day, majority of them. Some of them, yes, they are at night, but
very
majority
few,
of them, And international flying is your body cycle. Because of the flying at night, body clock gets take a toll sometimes. So you have to plan your rest period accordingly. You can sleep early, and that way you can stay fresh for the flight.
So eventually when we start doing red-eye flights, it is a bit difficult. But then, let's say after a few months into the flying, you get to plan your rest well, and then it becomes a normal thing.
Absolutely.
And plus, when we are flying international, let's say to the Gulf countries or to the Southeast Asia, the accent is different.
Yes.
And whenever, let's say, I'm going for the first time, I feel difficulty in understanding those things. But second time if I go there, I am used to that accent.
Correct.
So first time everything I would say is difficult whether you're flying international, domestic, or for that matter. And then once you get a hang of it, you become pro. So
Correct.
if you are in, let's say, your flight training period, or if you are giving your DGCA exams, initially when you look at the navigation syllabus, you think, oh, it's so vast. How am I going to remember
Correct.
this book when I go for
Correct.
the navigation exam?
Correct.
And when you clear the navigation exam, you think, oh, it was a piece of work, cakewalk. I cleared it.
Right.
So that's the thing you can relate with.
Correct. Absolutely. So, considering international, sometimes, yes, as you said, the accent, Southeast Asia, they have, different accent. Like they say Swadika, they greet initially
Yes.
as Swadika. So that is Namaste, like how we say.
Yeah.
And when we go to Middle East, it is Salam Alaikum,
Yeah.
right? So we always, whichever part we go there, we would try and use their way of greeting while, initiating our communication.
Yeah. So that covers a bit of difference between international and domestic flying.
Correct.
So
Absolutely.
for domestic flying, recently I went to a new destination, Tirupati.
Okay.
Have you been there?
No, Tirupati.
I think they have started recently. I don't know when
Yes.
did they start, but actually the smaller aircrafts were flying there, but now they have placed the
Right.
320.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I had a flight there, surrounded by mountains,
Okay.
and it was a good approach and everything.
Right.
So enjoyed the flight there,
Nice.
and you can see the temple as well, which is located
Okay.
on the hills.
Okay.
So yeah, and the flight is always full.
Yeah.
Yeah, always full.
Okay. Nice.
So as we are discussing about flying as a pilot to international destinations and domestic destinations, what do you think, or how do you think a student should make a decision whether to do their flight training in India or abroad?
Yes, many students are asking this question as they have completed this 12th and they want to make a decision. So, considering flight training in India, since I have completed flight training in India, so it is important to understand that all the papers need to be cleared here if you are doing flight training in India. In addition to navigation, meteorology and regulation, technical, general and specific also need to be cleared. So that is one difference. Apart from that, it is important to choose the correct flight school and good flight school where the flight training is really good. Like the quality of flight training is good, because there are many flight schools in India which do not offer as great quality which is required. So that is one important aspect which needs to be taken into account. Quality in the sense, first of all, the maintenance of the aircraft need to be good. So that needs to be at par. Apart from that, the flight training, instrument flying needs to be, done well, and they should really fly in the, instrument conditions, as well as the students should fly with the help of those instruments and should be able to learn what is VOR tracking, what is the ILS approach, what is the VOR approach, etc. And that will help them to understand basic lessons when they go to airline, because otherwise airlines will definitely expect them to know. They
Yes.
are not going to teach radial interception and the basic VOR tracking. So these things need to be learnt well, because if these are not learnt well, then it's a problem. Apart from that, there is requirement of doing RTR as well in India, which needs to be taken care of. So first of all, considering the quality of flight training, maintenance, plus food is taken care of in most of the flight schools. Generally, one-time food they do offer in the package, and obviously evening meal, students have to look after themselves. So that is one of the major difference and thing which needs to be taken into account. Apart from that, when you consider flight training in abroad, as you have completed flight training in abroad, so you can highlight more about that.
Yeah, so the number one deciding factor for a student to select flight training abroad will be the finances.
Correct.
So before starting their pilot training, make sure they discuss with their parents and see what budget they are looking to spend on the pilot training, because we have met students
Correct.
and they have not informed their parents, okay, this is the actual amount. Because now what is happening is there are many schools which quote you a minimum amount which is even cheaper than what is flight training in India, and then later on when they go abroad, let's say US or New Zealand, they find out, okay, this is not something we had signed up for. It's way above than what we can afford. So finances would be the number one thing. Once that finances is started, and the actual finances, I mean, let's say if you're planning to do it from abroad, there's for CPL around 60-70 lakh is the actual amount, including accommodation, visa, flight tickets and stuff. So that would be number one thing to decide whether you want to do training in India or abroad. Second thing is, as I have done my training from the States, I definitely recommend students to do their training from the US, and only if the budget permits. And this is not something which I'm telling, okay, India is bad or something like that. It's just a personal choice, because I have done my training in the US. So the quality of training is way better. The quality of training is way better there. And you have more freedom, I would say, in terms of going for cross countries, practicing instrument approaches and stuff. And when you train in a live traffic environment, you gain a good situational awareness skills, plus your workload management is better, and your skills of handling an aircraft is developed very well, because you'll be practicing in a live traffic environment.
Correct.
It's not like you are training at an isolated airstrip.
Correct.
Where you just have the training traffic.
Correct.
But when you go at an airport, let's say I have done my training from Sanford International Airport. So it has a mix of domestic and international flight operations. And the airport, if I tell you the number of runways, they have 4 runways. Okay.
Absolutely.
And out of that, 3 are operational. 3 parallel runways are operational. And let's say you are going solo and 3 runways are operational. So you can imagine what workload you have and what situational awareness you have. Because 1 runway is for landing, and 1 runway is for takeoff. 1 runway is for people who are doing traffic circuits. Okay. So you always have everyone like in mind. Okay, you listen to the RT and you figure out, okay, this person is here, this person is here, and you also see on your ND as well. So that is one thing which I always recommend. If you are even doing training from India, select an airport where you have a good traffic to learn. Because flying the plane alone in the sky won't actually develop a skill. So whether be it India or abroad, make sure you have a live traffic environment where you interact with the ATCs and make decisions accordingly.
Correct, absolutely.
Okay, and the third thing I would say is the lifestyle. So as you go abroad, you definitely be in that lifestyle of that particular country, and you cook your own food. You learn survival skills, I would say. And especially food. So many people, like many students, they want to know, okay, where will be provided food or no. Because in India, most of the flight school have their own mess, so you don't have to worry about the food. But when you go abroad, as the flight school will have a lot of nationalities, so it is difficult for them to maintain a mess with a common cuisine in mind, because everyone's cuisine is different, and it is practically impossible to make food from every cuisine every day. So generally flying schools abroad, they don't have food service or something like that, but it is very easy to make food once you learn how to do it, because when I was there, now again one more question what students ask is, okay, will I be able to find vegetarian food when I'll be training in the US? And I'm like, it is the easiest thing to find in the US, because many people have turned vegan there, so there are a lot of vegan restaurants.
Okay.
And when you go to
Is it?
Walmart, yeah,
Okay.
and when you go to Walmart, you have this ready to eat food which you can survive like one meal a day, and you get packed meals as well. You just have to mix the ingredients once you go back home, and it's not that expensive as well.
Okay.
So I think cooking food and managing the lifestyle in the US is pretty simple, and on an average around $200 to $300 a month is what you need to for your food expenses if you make your own food every day at home. Yeah.
Right. Correct.
So yeah, that is about it. And plus then wherever you stay. So for us, they have given a private home which we were sharing among the cadets, and it's like a 5-star, I would say, villa or something like that. And then you have swimming pool, you have tennis, you have volleyball court, you have lake in middle of the community. So it's a good place to stay, good place to enjoy while you train, but make sure that you follow all the rules and all the basic rules before you go to US, because they are pretty much strict on the rules. If a student breaks any rules, then they will not leave.
Correct.
So
Absolutely.
that is number one thing.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, just focus on your training and enjoy the journey.
Right,
It's a good thing.
right.
Good place to train.
Absolutely. Plus, it's important that when students step out of home, they do get freedom, but it comes with some responsibility. So, if you're like drinking, make sure you don't drive, and make sure you don't fly next day. So, if you have a flight planned, then definitely don't plan to drink. And apart from that, substance abuse is big no matter what, whether you're flying or not. It is a big no at any point of time, because it stays in the blood for many months. So anytime if there is any surprise drug test, if a student is caught, if that happens in abroad, then definitely he would be jailed. If it happens here, he will not be able to become a pilot. So that is something which needs to be kept in mind really, really well, because at that age, it is, students do get vulnerable to certain things like that. But it's important to be responsible, because your parents are really investing into you, and it's a lot of amount to invest, and you need to respect that and make sure that you don't let this career go in vain because of such mistakes,
Yes, and overall, when you do training abroad, you also get a CPL of that country, and you have to come back to India and convert that CPL into DGCA CPL.
Correct.
So once you come back to India, the flying will be a bit different compared to the country you have done the training from.
Correct.
And the main difference or the deciding factor to do training from India or abroad is the cost. So in India right now, as we speak today, from a good flight school, CPL will cost around 55 lakh rupees. And abroad is around 65 to 70 lakh rupees.
Correct.
And the price of flight training is not fixed. It has a lot of variables, including the timeline of the training. So on an average, 12 months is what students should take to complete their training. But it can vary from 12 to 15 months. And depending upon the dollar rate, let's say if the dollar rate today is 88 rupees and tomorrow it goes to 90, then straight up 2 to 3 lakh rupees with the increment in the fees.
Correct.
So there's no fixed cost for flight training. It can vary depending upon the dollar rate, student performance, weather, and miscellaneous.
Correct.
Okay. So if you are going if you're going abroad for your training, make sure you don't go on a cut to cut budget. Okay, the budget, keep a buffer of about 5 lakh rupees, because you never know when you need it.
Absolutely. Plus, after coming back from abroad, now it depends on whether you have done your flight training from Australia or New Zealand or US or Canada. So, if in case it is done from US, then obviously RTR needs to be cleared in India. Plus, if you've done it from Australia or New Zealand then or Canada, then RTR is taken care of. So that is plus, despite of it, even if it is taken care of, then also you have to apply for that RTR P, and the documentation work needs to be done.
Yes, and speaking about the RTR at CNTAA, we have recently started.
Yes.
Recently. And speaking about RTR at CNTAA, we have started training students for RTR as well. And
Yes.
we do have courses. If someone is doing their training from US, if they want to do the Canadian RTR, we have courses for them as well.
Correct.
Online on the CNTA's website. And starting from the studying part, training them to clear the RTR exam, to the application, we provide guidance to them from end to end.
That's
Everything is covered.
good news for you.
Yeah.
And you can take the best advantage of this, because RTR was something where students were getting stuck, and that's where they were asking us when would you start, and when we have the entire package along with RTR. So we decided to start that under one roof. So you will get guidance with us.
Yes, and I do have a Canadian CPL as well.
Yes.
So when I was training in the US, I was not informed that RTR also has to be given. So I went there, and then I was like, okay, now I don't want to go back to India and then do it and then go back to Canada again. So what it is, I just gave the RTR exam in Canada, and then got my ROCA license. And when you come back to India, you either have to give the part 1, or you give the regulations exam of Canada and get your Canadian CPL. So I have Canadian CPL as well, and I've given the part 1 of Indian RTR. So I have both the ways.
Both.
So for students who are looking to do any of the things with the RTR, we will be happy to provide guidance you for the same.
But if a student has Canadian CPL and Canadian RTR, then based on that, they get Indian RTR for 5 years, right?
Yes.
If in case they want to extend the validity, then they need to either give Indian RTR part 1, because of which they will get it for 20 years, correct? And if in case they want lifetime, then they can go for part 1, part 2 both, correct? So if a student chooses to do 5 years RTR and without giving any exam in India for RT, but they have to ensure that Canadian RT and Canadian CPL needs to be valid, and that is valid only for 5 years. And whenever that lapses, they have to again renew Canadian CPL and Canadian RTR, and then only they will be able to get.
Yes. So
Indian
Canadian
RTR,
RT is valid for life. Only the validity of Canadian CPL is 5 years. So they just have to renew their medicals and the CPL, Canadian CPL, and then they can just apply for.
But for
Canadian.
which they will have to go to Canada, right?
Yes.
So if students have to avoid doing that, when they start flying with airline, then it's better that they give Indian part 1 for RTR, or give part 1, part 2 both and get their lifetime RTR. So
Yes.
that is the advantage of doing it with Indian RTR. Yep.
Yes. So during my time, I was not informed that if you clear these exams, if you clear RTR and go, once you come back to India, it will be a very smooth process. So as said, life is too short to make all mistakes by yourself. So make sure you learn from others' mistakes. So now, let's say if you're an aspiring pilot, you have just cleared your 12th. Make sure you start with your DGCA exam preparation, followed by RTR, and then you plan your flight training. This is the sequence I would say, a correct sequence for your flight training.
Absolutely.
If you are excited, we all know, everyone, when you are an aspiring pilot, you are
Correct.
excited to get your hands on the aircraft, to
Correct,
fly the
correct,
aircraft.
correct.
But in that excitement, don't make this mistake, because
Absolutely.
once you come back to India, it will take another year if you commit to this mistake, and things won't be great in those years. I have seen it myself. I mean, there would be waiting at every flight school. The documentation will take time. You have to go multiple places and do all of those things. So to avoid all this hassle, make sure you clear these exams, clear your RTR, and then you go for the flight training.
Correct. So for a student who comes back from flying from abroad, they are kind of confused with what next to be done. Apart from DGCA exams, apart from medical and their RTR. Apart from that, what all documentation needs to be done in order to do their conversion process, like for with flight training school?
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say if a student has completed his or her CPL from abroad and then they come back to India, I'm assuming they have already done their class 1 medicals,
Yes.
they have their computer number, their DGC exams are cleared and RTR is cleared.
Correct.
So once they come back to India, firstly, if their medical is expired, they have to renew their class 1 medicals.
Correct.
Then they enroll in a flight school, apply for SPL. Once the SPL comes, you can apply for FR12 and then you start with your flight checks. So that will include your GFT day, GFT night, your FAM flight, your cross country day, night. And at the end of those checks, you will get the necessary required documents from the flight school and you can then apply for the CPL,
Correct,
providing you
correct.
meet all the recency requirements.
Correct. So SPL, they need to apply from EGCA or?
Yes. So
Yeah.
generally, the school which they choose for conversion, they will do it for them.
Okay.
So there'll be a small written test for SPL, and the results will be uploaded on the EGCA by the school itself.
Okay.
And you just have to see all the details are correct for
Okay,
your personal name and the school, the date of birth, and all of those things. And
Correct,
once that is
correct.
done, you click on submit. Within a week or two, your SPL is validated, and once that is done, you can start your flight checks.
Correct. All right. Great. So when a student completes his CPL, whether it is from India or from abroad, then students have this question before going for flying, that whether the airlines, will they be able to hire us if we complete flight training in India, or will they give preference to students who would do their flight training from abroad? So what is your say on that?
So according to me, so I don't think so airline would prefer any country for their training. If, let's say, if that were the case, then everyone would do their training from a particular country, but that is not the case. So this means that airline doesn't have a preference for the country. What I believe is airline would have preference for candidates who have that skill set and the mindset to become a pilot.
Correct.
And for that to inculcate in a student, it is very important to select the correct flight school or correct institution
Correct.
for the DGC exam preparation. Because let's say when you go for a DGC exam preparation, the concepts have to be crystal clear, because when you go in an interview, they won't ask you any definition or something. They'll ask the relationship of that concept with respect to flying.
Correct.
So if you know the concept, then it will be very easy for you to answer the in the airline interview. And if someone, let's say, has done their training or something from XYZ institute where they have not been taught, or it can also happen that student has not given enough efforts to study.
Correct.
So that is something which airline will find out when you go for an interview. So it doesn't matter if you do your training from India or abroad, but what matters is if you do your training from a good institution, you will get that values inside you, which will help you to clear the interview.
Correct. Absolutely. So if in case somebody just says, I have done a flight to so and so place, you might be asked that what kind of approach was shot.
Yes.
If in case someone is bluffing, then obviously he would be caught because that approach may or may not be there. Runway orientation can be asked. Okay, so these kind of things students need to keep in mind, that it is important that someone doesn't fake whatever the flying where he or she has done and to which airports they have operated to. So that is important, as well as the knowledge which is required and competency needs to be at par. Yeah.
Yes. So select a good flight school, a genuine flight school for your flight training.
Correct.
For DGCA ground training, we have Capt.Neha, who teaches at CNTAA. We have all three modes of learning: on demand,
Absolutely.
online, and offline at Training Center in Vadala. So if you're someone who is ready to start your pilot training,
Then you can contact on 9930 300 426. And we will be able to assist you with all your queries about your pilot training and to get you started with your DGCA exam preparation.
yes, and you can always reach out to us on Instagram, or if you have any other questions, you can list it down in the comment section. I and Nilay will be doing a Q&A session in the next episode. So make sure if you have any questions, you can list it down in the comment section. Make sure you ask us in detail so that we can answer them in detail.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes, that's it. And thank you for watching this podcast until now. And make sure you like, subscribe this podcast. And we hope to see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.
Thank you. Thank you for watching. Look forward to see you in the next one. And an update that we have crossed 10,000 subscribers on Pilot Podcast. Thank you so much for your love, and thank you for sharing this with your colleagues, and this information we always try to give as much accurate as possible information to you so that you make the informed decision towards your pilot training. Thank you very much. Have a great evening ahead. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.